What's up, Metal Summoners? Welcome, welcome. As always, you have landed on your island of misfit toys, and we are so stoked to have you guys as always. We've got Angel Alamo, we will have the real Psycho Steve, and we've got myself as well. We are coming live at you, kicking off your weekend in the middle of the week on Wednesday, just like we like to do. And we're going to jump right into it. Metal Summoners, get excited because we are excited. We are blessed and honored and very appreciative to have the one and only Michael Kellysmith joining us this evening. Michael, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. It's been a great day. Absolutely. Awesome. First and foremost, man, 35 years of Britny Fox. Congratulations.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Yeah, man, that's amazing. I mean, time flies when you're having fun.
35 years. Think about it. That's crazy to think that was 35 years ago, right?
Yes, 35 years ago. So let's just jump right into it and have a little bit of fun there. Like, talk about the formation of Britny Fox.
Wow. Okay. The long version.
Absolutely.
How long do we have?
Oh, we have as much time as you want. We love story time.
Okay. Well, wow. Yeah. Okay, the formation of Britny Fox. So what happened was myself and our original drummer, Tony Sticks Destra, were in a band called Cinderella. You may have heard of them.
Yeah.
That was prior.
I've heard a song or two.
What's that? Okay.
I've heard a song or two.
Yeah. So that band was together for a couple years from like 83, 84-ish. 83 it was. And, did the whole club thing, had our originals, did what you had to do, played everywhere we could, shopped for a deal, landed a deal ultimately at Polygram Records, at which point Tony and I were fired from the band. Everyone's probably heard the story a million times. So after that, Tony and I were kind of, didn't know exactly what we were going to do. And along came Dean Davidson, Dizzy Dean, who was a drummer in a band called World War III prior to all of this, and approached Tony and I and said, look, I play guitar now and sing, and I have some songs. And Tony had nothing to lose whatsoever. So we said, okay. I got together with Dean, sure enough, played that Long Way to Love riff, and I thought, okay, that's pretty awesome. And then he said, I have another idea. Kind of goes like this. Dean played that. I'm like, okay, you have a name for that? And he's like, yeah, girlschool. I'm like, okay. I called Tony and I said, I think we have a shot at something here. Got together, and the three of us, I believe, got together at first and jammed through a bunch of ideas that Dean had. It sounded great, like from the first rehearsal. We needed a bass player, and there was only one choice there, and that was Billy Childs, best bass player around, like, best bass player there is, put it that way. So we had him come over, second rehearsal. Now it's the four of us. We played through probably 10 or 12 songs, second rehearsal. Got the arrangements down, the whole deal, and that's how the band was born. And there's Steve. We have a new guy here. Steve, you're all blurry there, brother. Is he there? Is he frozen? What happened?
I'm just in the sun. I'm here, just myself. Gives shitty service at where I'm at. So I'll be on in a minute. I just wanted to say, hi, Mike. Hi, guys. I'll be on in a few
Hey,
minutes.
that's good. Looks like you're in a freezer.
Close. No, a
I was
store.
thinking the same thing. Or you,
Right.
you got a halo.
Or like
But remember,
an
I'm the
interrogation
angel,
room.
not
Looks like
you.
he's being interrogated. He was
It looks like he's got a halo.
Steve's been bad again.
Okay, so anyway, so
This
yeah,
is pretty cool how he's frozen.
Who's frozen?
I was like, the light. Oh,
Steve.
Okay, now we see Steve's ceiling or floor, right? It's cool, whatever. So that was the beginning of the band. That was it. So we started, a couple more rehearsals. Before you know it, we had, 20 songs. Started playing around the same South Jersey, Philly circuit. And because of the Cinderella connection, we had instant notoriety. People were interested. And we had good crowds coming out immediately, did demos, sent them out, had a manager, Brian Kushner, awesome, basically, fifth member of the band kind of deal, and shopped us around. We ended up on Columbia Records.
Nice.
Ironically, our showcase for Columbia was opening for Cinderella.
Really?
Yeah, how cool was that, right?
That's rad. Was that definitely small world? Was that difficult at all for you, Michael?
Well, yes and no. I mean, at that point, my new band, Britny Fox, still didn't have a record deal. And at that point, Cinderella had almost 3 million albums sold.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a little bit like, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get a record deal, and they're already on their way to 3 million albums. So,
right.
Triple platinum. So, yeah, that was a little bit frustrating, but also inspirational.
Sure.
Because I thought, well, I have some ground to make up here.
Yes.
But another part of the story that everyone's heard a million times, but by that point, by the time we showcased, we had lost our drummer Tony in a car accident.
Oh, yeah.
Prior to that showcase, that showcase was in the summer of 86, I think it was. And we lost Tony in February of that year. We were already showcasing at that point, and it was February, middle of the night, black ice on the road. He drove too fast, unfortunately, usually, and was killed in a car crash. So we had a friend of ours, Adam Ferrioli, fill in for Tony. And while we were kind of readjusting to the whole shock of losing him, and ended up with Johnny D on drums. Mm-hmm. And again, best drummer out there, him and Adam and Tony. I've been fortunate enough to play with, the best drummers anywhere, and Bill, the best bass player, and Dean, as far as a singer, songwriter, and solid rhythm guitar player. It's been unbelievable because it makes your job as a lead guitarist a lot easier when you have a band that can play.
Sure.
Trust me, I've been in plenty of bands that wasn't the case prior to Cinderella. Because you come up through the club circuit and, you're playing with who's ever around. And not until Cinderella was it 4 guys that were on the same page stylistically and in general musically, but also at the level of playing that we were at.
Sure.
It was the first full professional band. I mean, like where everybody was at the top of their game. So that's what was awesome about Cinderella, that talent aspect and the chemistry that we had. And luckily, I was able to get that all again happening with Dean and John and Bill. and the rest is history. But we can go through it, you know. So yeah, that was the beginning of the band. We signed to Columbia, did our album. It only took like 3 months because everything was so well rehearsed at that point. It was not a big thing to go in and knock that album out.
Yeah.
The album came out. We did the Long Way to Love video. Bobby Dahl from Poison saw the video, called up our manager, said he loved the band, loved the song. They needed an opening band for their Open Up and Say Ah tour. And we were offered that slot, and away we went.
Dude, that's awesome, Michael. That's super duper cool, man. Where did the actual name Britny Fox come from?
Okay, according to Dean, he had a family tree. His ancestors are from Wales. Again, according to Dean. And he was looking at his family tree from Wales, and sure enough, there was some girl along the line somewhere, and her name was Britny Fox. And we were like, Dean, are you sure about that? And he's like, yeah, this girl, Britny Fox, was in my ancestry, you know, which we weren't really sure if that was the case, but we didn't care because it was a great name. And the story sounded good, and it could be true. We never really found out for sure, but you can ask him at some point. But yeah, according to Dean, it was a girl in his, in his family tree from Wales. But great name, which is another important aspect. You can have a great band and great players and great songs. If you don't have a name that, to go with it, that could be problematic.
Sure.
Cinderella, great name. At least I thought of it. So of course I liked it.
Sure.
But, it worked. It was like, wow, glam hair metal band called Cinderella. It seemed like a dichotomy, right? But it worked. And then Britny Fox, luckily Dean had that idea. And again, it worked. There's a million bands, like, whatever. You know the names of other bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the name is important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you could definitely have names that just seem bizarre, seem kind of weird, but somehow they work, or because of the style that they play or the talent that's in the band, sometimes it just becomes a part of human nature. I mean, names like Def Leppard, like Aerosmith get used all the time as like really just bizarre thoughts on names, but then you look at names that are either more directly to the point or just sound good. Like you said, you've got Cinderella, you've got Britny Fox, and then you've got something like Warrant that just kind of works. Something like Skid Row, which they were able to use, even though Gary Moore had Skid Row even before that.
Correct.
So, there's a lot of like different things, even something, as simple as Poison, which came out of Paris. When they changed up their name, when they were looking for a guitarist to fill their slot and stuff like that. So You're right. The name definitely matters. I mean, it's long since documented that Nicky wanted to call the band Christmas, and Mick Mars thought that name was completely stupid as hell and kind of threw out the name Look at This Motley Crew. So sometimes it just kind of falls into place.
Poison were originally called Spectre. And again, it sounds like a club band.
Yeah.
Not a horrible name, but certainly not Poison.
Yeah.
And then there's Kiss. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just become, you just associate the name Kiss with Kiss, right? Whatever you think of. Right? I mean, so it's an association thing. So I guarantee that most bands, if Kiss, if they would have remained Wicked Lester, which was their original name, well, Gene and Paul had the band Wicked Lester that named Kiss. But if they would have continued on with that name, sorry, different ball game, different story. Like Wicked Lester, again, kind of a cool name, but that would not have had the mass appeal, that Kiss had.
Yeah.
Kiss was brilliant for a couple reasons. The word everyone's heard of, 4 letters. They did the S's, really cool. Ace Frehley's idea.
Right.
And it was memorable, catchy, and simple. So that's why that worked. But I guarantee if there was never a band called Kiss, anybody in any band since then that would have walked into a rehearsal room and said, let's call our band Kiss, I guarantee everyone would have been like, what are you, stupid? Like it never would have, no one would have went for that.
Yeah.
That's probably true for Britny Fox as well. You know what I mean? Aerosmith.
Yeah.
When you hear Aerosmith, you don't think too much about the name. I think of this. You think of their music.
Yes.
Again, it's the association thing, so a name's important, but it also starts to just become accepted as people associate it with the music that particular band, whoever it may be, the music they do. So that's kind of that.
Absolutely, for sure. So before I kick it over to Angel, because we're going to get him involved, and we're going to bring in some of the fans as well. It kind of hit me that we've never actually covered this question on our show, and we've talked to a lot of '80s, alumni from your peers. I'd like to hear your take on the Flyers War that was always well documented on the Sunset Strip and all that back in the 80s about bands putting their flyer on top of other flyers and having a flyer that stands out and stuff like that. Michael, what do you remember about the Great Flyers War?
We were not really involved with it.
Oh, okay.
We were not on the Sunset Strip. We're from Philadelphia.
Right, because you were dominantly East Coast.
Completely. So there was only Cinderella and then Britny Fox at that time, bands that were coming up, original bands that had potential for record deals. We were not in that mix. We didn't have that competition. I do know what you're talking about. Warrant, Pretty Boy Floyd, whoever, Quiet Riot, they were all like in the LA scene out trying to outdo each other. Motley Crue in the beginning, all those bands.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was true. They were just out there, again, before the internet. What did you have? You had to go get 1,000 or a couple thousand flyers made, put them everywhere.
Yeah.
We did that also, but it was not a competition thing. We all had film delivery jobs. I'm sure everybody's going like, what's film? Well, this film that I speak of were these canisters that you used to put in an old-fashioned camera when you wanted to take pictures. And I know you guys might know what I'm talking about, right?
I totally know what you're talking about.
So you'd put a roll of film in a camera, you take your 16 pictures, then you take that film and drop it off in a box, right, at the Rite Aid or some pharmacy. Well, somebody had to pick all that film up every day. Guess what? It was us. First, it was Cinderella. Tom, Eric, and Tony and I were film delivery drivers. We'd pick up all the film, take it back to a parking lot, give it to a guy that put it in the truck and took it down to Maryland, got the film developed. The next day, bring all the pictures back in a packet, developed photographs that you would hold in your hand. And then we would take the pictures back and start the process all over again and pick up a new round of film. So,
right.
So then so that's what we did. That was our job. So my point was we used to take our flyers and put them around all the pharmacies that we used to deliver film and pick up pictures at. Not to mention all the other clubs. We go around the clubs and like go to the parking lots and put flyers on the car windshields under the windshield wiper. We would do that at grocery stores, bowling alleys, everywhere. Now we were the kings of promotion. We did not take it for granted that we were going to get a packed house. It didn't take us long to get to that point, but we really worked hard to promote the band. And I have to say that the main person in our camp who was off the charts with this stuff was Brian, our manager. He would stay up all night, every night, worked in a print shop. He would print flyers and, we had T-shirts, you name it, matchbook covers. We had Britny Fox, books of matches. We had balloons, everything. If you could put a logo on something, we had it. So yeah, we were very aware that you had to promote the band to build your following.
Absolutely, for sure, man. Angel, let's bring you in, my good man. How are you doing this evening, and how are the Metal Summoners looking? I'm looking at some of these comments. They seem pretty excited to have Michael on.
Yep, and a lot of questions as well to go with it.
Let's roll.
So let's roll with the first question. So what was your very first band? And how old were you?
I was 14. I had just started playing guitar. I was only playing 6 months, maybe not even. My best friend, who was 2 years older, his name was George, the only other kid in high school that had long hair and played guitar, where I went to school. He was the reason I wanted to play guitar. Before that, my goal was to be a stock car driver. I wanted to be the race car driver. That was my thing growing up. And that got shelved. That idea got shelved because my friend George got a Les Paul and a Vox Super Beetle amp, learned how to play Grand Funk and Black Sabbath. I remember him saying, "Hey, check this out." He was like, and I'm like, "Wow, Sabbath, you can play that?" And he's like, "Yeah, let me show you how to do it." And he was playing Aerosmith and Montrose. So he showed me all, bar chords and how to play riffs. And he's like, "Hey, let's start a band." And I'm like, "Sure." So found a bass player, Jeff Greeley, singer, Ray Latshaw, and our drummer's name was Dave Zilly, spelled Zilli, I believe. We had, again, getting back to the name thing, we didn't have a name. We couldn't think of a name. So I happened to say, "How about this? Let's call it the Dave Zilly Band." And everyone's like, "Why would you pick the drummer?" I said, "Because his name's Zilly." You know what I mean? That's why, because it wasn't like Smith or Jones. His name was Dave Zilly. That had like a ring to it, right? Something different. So it became the Dave Zilly Band. A couple months later, we're out playing, local little parties and wherever, splash parties at the local swimming pool, high school dances. And get this, this was like 1975-ish. Kiss only had 3 albums out at that point, and they were not huge yet, right? First album, Hotter Than Hell, Dressed to Kill. Yep. The live album wasn't even out yet. Mm-hmm. So my friend George and I, the guitar players, we loved Kiss. We were like, wow, that's something really cool. So we didn't know any better, I guess, or maybe we did. George and I would do shows in full Ace Frehley makeup.
Huh.
Both of us. So this Dave Zilly band playing Foghat songs and Nazareth and Sweet and Brownsville Station, Aerosmith, whatever, all the 70s rock stuff, Deep Purple. George and I went out and bought, the Stein's, the official Stein's white pancake makeup.
Yeah.
And, we were actually both artists, so it wasn't hard to do, whatever. Anybody could do it. And we actually used to play with Ace Frehley makeup. And that's before most people really didn't catch on to Kiss until Kiss Alive. So some people were at the shows, they're like, oh, you guys, like, is that Kiss makeup? What is that? And we're like, yeah, we have 2 Ace Frehleys in the band. So it was really bizarre that we had the wherewithal to, do something that bold that early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first band, the Dave Zilly Band. We were pretty damn good too for guys that were only playing for a couple years. I remember we did a lot of Blue Oyster Cult, Foghat, Montrose, Rick Derringer. That's how I learned how to play all that stuff. Yeah, for the Dave Zilly Band. So we could go out and wear, and do Ace Frehley makeup.
Nice.
That's that story.
And Charles wants to know, do you give guitar lessons?
I do. That's how I make my living, actually, at the moment. I've been teaching, longer than I can remember. And yeah, I do. So I have a Facebook page, and I can get messaged through that. Anyone interested in lessons? Yeah, that's what I do full time. Teach guitar at the moment.
And a question from Jules wants to know, what's the best and worst places you've played?
The best is easy. The Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan.
Whew.
New Year's Eve, 1988, opening for Bon Jovi with Rat and Kingdom Come.
Wow.
We got lucky enough to land that gig. It was there were about 50,000 people in attendance and another 200,000 to 300,000 people watching live. It was televised live.
Oh.
So it was like crazy. You can only imagine. The stage was like a size of a parking lot. It was the Tokyo Dome, so it was just as people as far as you could see, and then cameras on cranes everywhere and on walking around on stage. So it was like a major production and super awesome. Yeah, without a doubt, that was the pinnacle of of gigs, because it was such a high level and high energy. It was crazy. The worst place to ever play, going way back, we used to play anywhere and everywhere we could, and we used to play these little bar restaurant places where the dressing room was like the kitchen.
Huh.
They had those deep fryers and stuff there, and they're making, French fries, and we're over in the corner getting changed. Wasn't ideal. And, there were so many really, bad places. One place way back, it was a band called the Priscilla Harriet Band that actually was Tom Kiefer and Eric Brittingham and myself were in this band together prior to Cinderella, actually right before Cinderella. We used to play some really grimy little bars like in North Jersey. And this one place in particular had a stage that was literally rotting through.
Huh.
I mean, it was like holes in the stage, and like it was horrible. I mean, because it was dangerous, but it was just really lame. That it's like, yeah, there's the stage. Go put your gear on there and go play, and the stage is literally rotting away as we're playing. So anyway, yeah, there's so many poor, bad places that we've played like that. So yeah, I guess. Yeah, those are not any one in particular. There were too many to name. I'm trying. You try to forget those kind of gigs. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What was your first guitar?
A Gibson Les Paul recording model. Very obscure type of Les Paul. It turns out it's the model that Les Paul himself actually played almost always. Very bizarre. Actually it's more of a studio guitar than it is a guitar to play live, although Les Paul himself would play it for all his gigs. And the only reason I bought that is because my best friend George had a Gibson recording model. So I had to, he was my mentor. I had to be like him. He had a Les Paul recording model. That's what I had to have. Although I was torn between that and a gold top Les Paul, which I have never owned.
Oh,
I have lots of Les Pauls and still have a bunch of them, but have never did get a gold top, but it's on my list. But anyway, yeah, my first guitar was a Gibson Les Paul recording model. Look them up. Natural walnut finish, super, really awesome, really nice. And I still have it.
nice.
And we got more awesome fan questions.
Yeah, man.
This one's from Charles again. He wants to know, were you able to get a hold of Dean to join the guys for at least a jam session?
Oh, you mean for recently, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading the question now at the bottom there. Actually, yes. Dean and I have been back in touch, which is cool because we didn't speak for about 10 or 15 years maybe. We were off, he did his whole solo album thing and Black Eyed Susan, whatever. So we lost touch. But recently I did reconnect with him. He's doing well. And we're talking about a possible reunion with himself, John, and Bill and I, which is the only sensible thing to do at this point.
For sure.
And this one's a bit of a tough one. Beatles or Elvis?
That's really tough. Yeah. That's almost unanswerable. You know what I mean? How do you really answer that? Although from a guitar perspective, though, Elvis did not have Helter Skelter. So,
Very true.
yeah, there's kind of that
That
part.
is true. Did Elvis have any rock songs?
There he is, man.
Hello, sir.
Steve is back in the house.
Back in the New York groove.
Oh yeah. Yeah, brother, we're going through some fan questions right now, and we started off talking about the formation of Britny Fox, the name of Britny Fox, and a little bit about the good old-fashioned Flyers war that they used to do on the Sunset Strip, but it was a little different on the East Coast. So that's some of the topics that we touched on so far.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead, Angel.
Here's a good question. Can you tell us a story about the 80s?
Okay. Angel, I lost your audio, but I do see the question, which says, tell us a story about the Philly rock culture in the 80s that we may not know about. correct?
Yep, that we may not know about. Yep.
This I can say. Cinderella pretty much started the entire Philly original hard rock band club scene. There had been the Hooters, Robert Hazard, a slew of, still in the category of rock, but not hard rock. So there were successful people coming out of Philly, just not in the hard rock genre. Cinderella put Philly on the map as far as that was concerned. We were the first band to come out doing all original music with a really tight and really, great live show, which then Britny Fox, carried that torch afterwards. So, well, no, wait, but the question was what people know about that, but what people don't know about. I guess I can say there was a lot of competition, kind of, or at least bands that were trying to compete with Cinderella and Britny Fox. Because we used to play, the Empire Rock Club in Philly, the Galaxy in Somerdale, New Jersey, Galaxy Club. And there was a slew of bands, like the LA scene. Like once there was Quiet Riot and Poison, then along came Pretty Boy Floyd and Bullet Boys and Warrant, and you know what I mean? So it was that same kind of equivalency where all these bands were trying to be like the bands that came right before them, which was not the greatest idea because the reason Cinderella looked and sounded the way we did, because we wanted to be different than everyone else. We weren't trying to be the same as everyone else. Britny Fox, well, a little bit of a different story because, we already had a sound from, the Cinderella thing. Dean, the similarities with Dean and Tom, you could not deny, whatever. But there were a slew of other bands that were trying to, do that same exact kind of thing where they probably would have been better off going off and trying something a little bit different. So, that's something, that people might not be aware of how many bands were kind of jumping on that bandwagon of what Cinderella and Britny Fox were doing at that point. And then there were some bands that didn't do that. They stood on their own. But yeah, it was a nice friendly competition going on. Lots of bands coming up through the club circuit at that time. One I just remembered in particular was called Rough Diamond. Bunch of young guys that were superb. I mean, they were like a young Scorpions almost. Like phenomenal, great guitar player, great songs, and they never got a deal, unfortunately. But they were a really cool band. Yeah, so they were one of the standout bands from that point. Rough Diamond, they were called, which I happened to produce a demo for them.
Nice.
So if you ever see that floating around, grab it. It's really awesome. Oh, but it's not the Rough Diamond from the UK. There was a band called Rough Diamond from the UK that had David Byron from Uriah Heep.
Oh.
So not that band, but this is a South Jersey 80s band, Rough Diamond. Wow, I see a nice pooch, is it? It's a dog, right?
Yes.
Dime.
His name's
Super
Dimebag.
awesome. What's that?
His name's Dimebag Darrell.
What is his name?
Dimebag Darrell?
Really?
Really, really.
That's awesome, man. Can we see him? Can you get him in the frame? Ah, look at that. Awesome. Oh, my two dogs just heard me talking about someone else's dog, and now they're barking up a storm. But yeah, they're the best, aren't they? Hey, I got a song for him. Here we go.
Yeah.
See if you guys know what this is.
Yes.
It's called Dog Eat Dog.
Yes.
You guys know it?
Mhm.
Oh, wait, I'm just thinking who sings it. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Ted Nugent.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, really awesome. Yeah,
Nice.
not to be confused with Warrant, Dog Eat Dog.
Right.
Hardcore band, Dog Eat Dog.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, old 70s Ted Nugent song, Dog Eat Dog.
Mhm.
Wow. So there's that. Cool. So where are we? Do we have more questions?
I have a few.
Shoot.
Okay.
Yep. So
now,
okay, we'll go. Steve.
years
Yeah.
ago at the Birch Hill.
Birch Hill Club. Yes. Awesome club.
Yes. I also saw you at the Cell Block.
Also awesome. Yep.
So the question is, and it's been many years since the four of you have been in a room and actually played. Do you guys talk to each other, like each other, and ever consider getting back together to do something?
The original lineup of Britny Fox.
100% yes.
And the answer is 100% yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had our differences, like all bands have.
Of course.
We still like each other just fine. We realized what we accomplished together. Realized that we kind of threw a lot of it away by not keeping the band together and keeping Dean in the band. I mean, he quit, but we also let him quit. We could have maybe tried to say no. We probably should have made more of an effort to keep him in the band, even though he wanted to quit. So, no, it's just fine, actually. Yeah, everybody's cool with everything, and we're actually speaking about seriously getting the four of us back together and doing some shows. And the Birch Hill would have been a great place, but I don't think that's there anymore, is it?
No. So when Art Stock passed away, he sold it. His daughter took over, and then she sold it, and they made it like a 55 plus community.
Okay, well, hey, that could work.
You can put there. So now the other question I have for you is, every band back in the day, when there was an actual record deal, got advances to pay for the record, to pay for the videos, but they also got some money for the artist that was performing on the album, of course. Now,
performance. Okay.
Question is, when you got your advance, when you got signed to either Simmons Records or Columbia, did you get some cash, and what did you buy?
Our original record deal with Columbia was for $80,000.
Okay.
And we spent every dime of it to make the first album.
Okay.
So we made zero from the record deal itself.
Right.
We did a separate publishing deal with Zomba, and that was a little bit of money. But enough that we didn't have to paint houses anymore. Right before that, we were all house painters. We went from the film delivery job to becoming house painters, like all of us. That way we can hang out. We were in the same schedule, and we paint houses all day and rehearse every night.
Nice.
So the publishing deal allowed us to not work the day job at that point any longer.
Gotcha.
But there was nothing to buy because we had enough money to pay the rent and, get by, but there was no sum of money that we could say let's go buy something ridiculous like, cars or whatever. So there was none of that.
Gotcha. Donnie Parnell of Kicks, that's what he's doing now, that's why he left Kicks, because, he did house painting.
He's a house painter?
Yeah.
What, like now?
Yeah, and ever since he left the band.
Wow, okay.
Which is weird, but whatever. So
Yeah, if he likes it, I guess.
whatever paints your boat, you know.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, we toured with them for a while. They were actually on part of the Poison tour with
Right.
us. Our first major tour was with Poison for Open Up and Say Ah. And on part of that, for maybe a month or so or 2 months, was Kicks. And then right before or after them, Lita Ford was on the tour for a while too.
Nice. So, who owns the name Britney Fox?
Well, we kind of all do. When Dean left the band, he relinquished all rights to anything Britney Fox. That was part of a contract that we had between the four of us.
Okay.
Well, actually, five of us, including Brian, our manager. That if anyone voluntarily left the band, they were going to relinquish all rights in anything to do with the band, including the rights to the name. So technically, Dean relinquished his rights, which left the rest of us, you know, to do kind of with whatever we wanted to do with the name, although there was nothing to do with the name except for go out and have a cover band and call it Britney Fox, which Bill has been doing on and off for the last couple of years. That's why you probably have seen, you know, Billy Child's version of Britney Fox out and about playing M3 festivals or wherever, you know,
Right.
the rock cruise things. So he's been doing that. And, you know, we were not thrilled with it really because it's not, you know, the name, you know, is supposed to be the original band, or at least the second incarnation of the band with Tommy Paris.
Right.
After Dean quit, we had no choice to carry on with a new singer. But in my view, if it's not the entire band with either Dean or Tommy, it shouldn't be called Britney Fox.
Right.
But that's kind of where that is.
Cool.
Real quick, Steve, let me jump in on that because Michael just got me curious about something. When Tommy came into the band, after Dean left, relinquishing his rights to the name Britney Fox, did you, Billy, and Johnny did the rights to the name stay with you three, or did Tommy get like a piece of that name?
No, he did not.
Okay.
Yeah, not legally anyway. I mean, he was in the band. He was on. Yeah, you know, he recorded Bite Down Hard, you know, our third album. He recorded the live album, which was on Spitfire Records in 2001. Steve.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, our live album, Long Way to Live, which was much later with Tommy. And because it was much later is why it's called Long Way to Live. Because it took so damn long to put a live album out. If Dean didn't quit the band, we would have had a live album out by 90 probably, or 91. But yeah, that didn't happen. So we did Bite Down Hard in 91 and then went on hiatus because there was nothing to do really, but wasn't happening. Came back in 2000, regrouped, did some shows, signed the deal with Spitfire, and recorded the live album. And Steve, half of it was recorded at the Burt Show Club.
I was there.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, if you guys check out, you know, Long Way to Live, half of it was recorded at the Burt Show. Pretty awesome. Yes. Oh, so to finish the question, so yeah, Tommy had the rights as far as he was in Britney Fox for Bite Down Hard, and for the live album, and for the subsequent studio album that we did after that called Springhead Motor Shark.
Yeah.
So yes, he was an equal member of the band, but never was giving any partial rights to the name in and of itself.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that just stayed with you, Billy, and Johnny.
Yes, and
Gotcha.
Brian, our manager.
And Brian, right? Of course. Got you, man. Cool. Steve, right back to you, brother. I just wanted to jump in because Michael got me curious.
Okay. So one, I also forgot to say thank you to Rob to facilitate this happening, because Rob is the one that got me in touch with you.
Oh, cool.
So, just wanna
Rob, graphic designer Rob.
yeah, Rockstar Rob.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Rob. If you're watching, he might be. I have a feeling he is. Yeah. So
much love. Respect.
Thank you, Rob. Awesome.
So this is going to be a very blunt question, because like Johnny's doing the Doro thing. Dizzy, I don't know. You just resurfaced and everything just recently, because I don't know why. Are you comfortable saying, hey, because all of you guys, unfortunately, I loved you guys. I saw, like I said, I saw you through the Birchill and the Cell Block and many other venues. You remember Studio One in North Jersey? You played as well.
It's vague. I remember the name. I can't picture it, but yeah, I know we played everywhere pretty much.
And then, like I said, I saw you in the tour, and you did tour with what's it called? Oh my God, years ago, 86, 87. I saw you tour. So I've seen you, like, I would say about 15, 16 times throughout.
Wow. Okay.
But
awesome.
Then you guys disbanded, except Johnny. What have you been doing all these years?
Teaching guitar.
Okay.
My wife and I have a horse rescue. We actually have rescued thoroughbreds.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're considered, they're referred to as off the track thoroughbred horses. Right. That ex-race horses. Right. Once they get injured or they get too old to race, they go to different farms.
Right.
Where people then adopt them, like an adoption agency.
Cool.
They have them for great greyhound dogs.
Yeah.
Racing dogs. So there's similar thing for ex-race horses. And so we kind of, we love animals. We did cat rescue for forever, 40 years. Had a house full of cats forever. And then adopted our first horse. And then, like potato chips, you can't have just one. Then we got our second one, and then two more after that. And it just became a thing. And so I've been busy taking care of horses, our dogs, and teaching guitar. And also starting a guitar company. I had a bunch of ideas for some cool designs for guitars. Okay. And I have a friend who's an awesome luthier, and hope he's watching. Todd, if you're there, hey. And gave him some ideas.
Facts.
So we have a cat and a dog joining us so far.
Yep.
Awesome. So guitar. So I had a friend who does guitar builder, and I have ideas for guitars. So I said, hey, do you want to build some of these and do some prototypes? Actually, here's one right here.
Nice.
Very cool.
It's called the Holy Grail.
Nice. Kind of reminds me of the Ron Fall Bumblefoot. Uses the Swiss cheese, or he has a guitar that looks like Swiss cheese.
With holes in it?
Bumblefoot, Ron Fall Bumblefoot. He played guitar for Guns N' Roses. Tony
Right. But his guitar has holes in it?
Yeah. I'll send you a picture of it.
Oh, that sucks. All right. I didn't know.
No, but yours is different, though. His is different.
Oh, it was my idea. But anyway, yeah. So the Holy Grail.
Gotcha. And
so this is just one of many.
Cool. I like the natural wood.
Well, this is a prototype. It's not even wood. It's MDF.
Oh,
Just
okay.
just to get the idea. Blue mirrored pickguard.
Oh,
But
cool.
yeah, the first ones are going to be all natural, come
Right.
like this. But everything is going to be to a certain degree special ordered. Like if you want one of these and you want it black, red, or whatever, it can be done.
Nice.
So working on the website for that, which should be up, hoping in a couple weeks.
Nice. So what do we expect it to be called? Like the Michael Kelly Smith guitars?
Michael Kelly Smith guitars, exactly.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is also I'm going to hook you up with two people. Adam Reaver of FU-Tone. He makes a lot of great stuff. He's also a very dear friend of one of the co-hosts of our show, Bobby. I don't know if you know him because he's a native Philadelphian. Bobby Dreyer.
No, I do not.
Okay. And Adam is out of Washington, out of Pennsylvania, out of like not Doylestown, like near New Hope.
Oh, real? Okay. I know where that is. All right.
Yeah. And then I want to introduce you the guitarist to Vane, Delana.
Oh, yeah, right. My friend Todd, the guitar builder, is friends with her.
Oh, okay. She makes amps now.
Yes.
So maybe you guys could collaborate together.
We're already, well,
Third Power amps, they're called.
yeah. Todd has been, I haven't met her yet.
Okay.
But I'm familiar with who she is. And turns out we're actually building a guitar for her as we speak.
Awesome.
Yes.
Nice.
It's another line of guitars that I will be introducing by June called Pride guitars.
Nice.
Yeah, like any guitar you can imagine with the Pride flag. They look really awesome. You guys will have to check it out. We're going to have the website will be up shortly, but it was just an idea that I had.
Okay.
Initially, it was simply that, wow, how cool would a Pride flag look on a guitar?
Absolutely.
So we did a mock-up and it looked awesome. And then it occurred to me, I'm like, well, I'm a big animal rights advocate. And I also obviously support LGBTQ rights. So it's my way of like putting forth, something symbolic,
right?
Guitars with a pride flag, and then all, a portion of the profits will go to a, LGBTQ organization.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh, and all the other guitars and merch stuff, all that goes to horse rescue.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So please text me that, like the email, the website, and everything. All
for sure.
We could put it on our socials and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, because all my animals, because we have two cats as well, my fiance and I, and we have the dog that you saw did a cameo before, and then we have two cats that we adopted together. Well, we adopted one together. The other one she had before I came in the picture. But we're all top-notch shop kind of people. So, and then we also do the support because our brother Bobby has a partner, and they live in Doylestown, so quite close to you.
Oh, very close. You kidding?
I think he's covering another show, everything. But he went to see you, I know, at the cell block because he was a fixture at the cell block and stuff like that. And a very funny thing, I DJ. Do you remember the Vault?
The Vault?
Yeah, in Philly, or Club Egypt.
Club Egypt, I remember.
Okay, I DJ'd there when I was like 14 years old. And Zadar's in New Hope.
Oh, yeah. New Hope is awesome. Are you kidding?
Yeah, and then when I hit 20, I wrote a very popular ad. Since you're from Philly, I wrote the I Hate Steven Singer ad.
That was you?
That was me. I'm not Steven Singer. But I wrote the ad 29 years ago.
Wow, I remember. Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, so because I have talent, that's why I do radio.
That's awesome. Look, the cat, man. Yeah. Animals. Yeah, my real passion is animals.
Right on.
It's right up there. Well, music's kind of right up there. but animals I would have to say is my number one life passion. And then right under that would be music.
Cool.
You and Ted Poley should get together and do something then.
That's what I hear, right?
Yeah.
Talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, not Ted Nugent.
No.
Obvious reasons, but yeah, I get it.
All right. Back to you, Jay.
Yeah, totally. So I thought something that would be kind of fun to actually talk about would be album covers, because Britny Fox has got some pretty cool, like, iconic album covers over the years. So, you know, you've got the debut album that has kind of like the classic, you know, lineup photo spread. You've got Boys in Heat, which has more of like that, Greek mythology statues design. I mean, Bite Down Hard's fantastic. You've got the beautiful blonde, you've got the apple, you've got the snake, and then you've got, Springboard, which has the suit of armor. So
Springhead Motor Shark.
Yeah, sorry, Springhead, which has the suit of armor. I'd love for you to just kind of to break down the album covers as you remember it and why you decided on them.
Yeah, easy enough. First album, right? Way back then, for some reason, the four of us had a difficult time deciding on band photos where all four of us were in the same picture and we'd all like it. You know, you'd have a picture where three of us were like, yeah, that's awesome. And then one guy would be like, nah, I don't like what I look like in that. Then you go to the next picture. Then three different people would like that. And one of us would be like, no, I don't like the way I look at it, right? So for the first album cover, we did a whole photo shoot and we could not agree on a band photo. So what we did was we each chose our own individual photos and put them next to each other. If you look, you notice it's not a band photo.
Yeah. It almost kind of looks like the Black Flag, like punk rock logo, where it's like the four separate bars.
That's why that is, because we could not agree on a band photo. So we just said, hell with it. We'll each pick our own favorite photo of, ourselves and put them together. And that's the first album cover with the logo at the top.
Nice.
That's all there was to that. Wow. Second album, Boys in Heat. Again, a story that's been out there for a while. Turns out that we were not really thrilled with that title of the album or the cover. Here's why. The album was originally called Fuel the Fire.
Oh.
And which was an idea that I had because everyone was saying, you guys are on fire. First album, gold, almost platinum. We were touring with Poison and Rat and Alice Cooper in Europe. Oh, no, that was later. I'm sorry. The Bon Jovi thing in Japan. So people are like, oh, you guys are on fire. So I thought, well, Fuel the Fire would be a cool name for the second album. So the label, Columbia, actually had their art department come up with artwork for our second album that was called Fuel the Fire. And right before the release, like a month before the album came out, when they had to deliver all the artwork and stuff to the manufacturer to make the product, the label pulled the plug at the last minute and said, wow, the album cover looks too much like a Kenny G album cover. It was awesome. It was a close-up of the sun, Britny Fox logo at the top, Fuel the Fire at the bottom. It was awesome. We all liked it. We loved it. Label pulled the plug and had us up to their offices in New York for a meeting and said, we want a new title and a new artwork. And we were like, wow, that sucks. So Dean raises his hand and says, I have an idea. Why don't we call it Boys in Heat? And we looked at him and we were like, are you kidding? Boys in Heat? Like, no, we don't think so. The label thought it was awesome. Like, oh, your album's going to be called Boys in Heat. And John and Bill and Brian, our manager, we were sitting there going like, oh man, for real? Like we couldn't believe it. Dean had a band prior to all this called Boys in Heat. It was a band that he had, a real over-the-top glam band. And that's where that came from. So we did not like the title at all. And then a week later, they had us back up for another meeting, and they unveiled Boys in Heat album cover. Like, here's your album cover, which we did not care for. But we didn't have a choice because they said, that's your album cover, and it's called Boys in Heat. And we're like, well, okay, what were we going to do? So that, we got used to it, whatever, but we weren't happy with it.
Right.
But, yeah, so that's what happened there. The second album, original title, was Fuel the Fire, and I actually have the cover. Yeah, maybe I'll grab it before we're finished. Show it to you. I found it recently, actually, the original artwork for the CD long box.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, super awesome. I posted it on my Facebook page like a week or two ago. And
sweet.
Yeah, and everybody was like, wow, that was cool. Why didn't you go with that? And we're like, well, because the label, said no. Then fast forward, the Tommy Paris album, we had all the songs. That was on a new label, too. That was on East West Atlantic. We needed a title and an album concept. So I said, why don't we call it Bite Down Hard? Always thought that was a good album title. Actually borrowed it from a band from the 70s called JoJo Gunn. Awesome band. Obscure, but I liked them. Their second album was called Bite Down Hard.
Oh, okay.
But it was so long ago. Even then, it's even longer now, but even then it was so old and obscure. And there's no law that says you can't use a title over. You can name songs. We had a song called Dream On, as you know.
Right.
So did Sweet. The band Sweet had a song called Dream On. So did Nazareth. Then, of course, Aerosmith. So, yeah, you can use titles over and over and over again.
Yep.
So I suggested Bite Down Hard. And then I said, why don't we do a spin on the whole Eve, Adam and Eve thing. We'll have Eve with a snake wrapped around her holding an apple. Just came into my head, and I thought that would look pretty cool, right? So we had a photographer do the photo shoot, and the girl's name was actually Britney. We had met her at one point. She said she was a model, yada, yada, whatever. If you ever need a model for something, here's my card. So we called her, and she came in, and she did the photo shoot with the snake. They called like a Hollywood animal guy, who would bring any kind of animal onto a set that you need for movies or TV shows or a photo shoot. He brought the black snake with him, went out and bought a bunch of green apples and had the girl Britney there. And that's how that came to be. And it actually ended up really pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's the story on the third album cover. Then after that, we did, there was a best of Britney Fox that Sony put out, and we had nothing to do with that whatsoever. We didn't have a say in the song selection, and we didn't have a say in the artwork either. So luckily, they used a pretty cool band picture that we did, a band photo, for the album cover of the best of Britney Fox, which we were all happy with. Fast forward to the live album. Again, we couldn't really agree on a band picture. So we took 4 individual pictures, and John, our drummer, who also does graphic arts, pieced them together to create the Long Way to Live album cover. That's how that came to be. One after that would have been Springhead Motor Shark. where I was living at the time, we had it was a townhouse. We had a foyer, and in the foyer we had a suit of armor. And I had taken pictures of it because I always thought it looked cool. And I was going through these pictures, and I thought, wow, that would make a cool album cover. The suit of armor guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who we called Sir Fourier. He was called Sir because he was a knight, and he stood in the foyer. So Sir Fourier became the guy for the album cover. The name came from a band that I went to see when I was just starting. Yeah, my first band, that Dave Zilly band, or no, it might have been the band after that. Because we had a keyboard player. He knew these guys that used to rehearse in the woods, like literally out in the woods. They would take generators out there, and that's how they would get their electricity to plug their amps in. And he took me to one of the rehearsals, and they were a cross between like Black Sabbath and Jethro Tull. And as you know, I was only like 16, 17 at the time, and they were, really kind of bizarre, like the whole black magic thing, whatever. I don't know what they were trying to do, but this band was called Springhead Motor Shark.
Oh.
And that always stuck with me because I was like, what is that? Like, where'd that come from? Springhead Motor Shark. What in the world could that possibly mean? But it didn't matter. It sounded cool, right? So when it came time for the Springhead Motor Shark album, I suggested that name, and we ended up using it. Although at the time I thought of it, I could not remember where I knew it from. I later remembered that it was this band that I saw when I was a kid, out in the middle of the woods called Springhead Motor Shark, right? In like out near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But initially I thought that I had seen it like on a Frank Zappa album or something, because it sounded like something the song title from a Frank Zappa album, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the record store and I'm like looking through all the Frank Zappa stuff, trying to find the Springhead Motor Shark song. Or at least I thought it might have been a song. I knew it from somewhere. I didn't make it up. I had heard it, but I wasn't sure where. And then later I remembered it was that band. So that's how that name came to be, and the album cover.
That's cool, man. Yeah. It definitely has that Frank Zappa feel, or kind of modern day supergroup feel to it with like that design, because we mentioned Ted Poley earlier. He's got that Tokyo Moto Fist band. So it kind of has that unique quality to it.
Yeah, I wonder what year that was.
For Tokyo Motor Fist?
Yeah.
It was like, I think the first album came out, I think like 5 years ago.
Hey, maybe got the idea from Springhead Motor Shark.
Maybe. Definitely is possible.
I'm just saying, you never know, right? So anyway, yeah, that's a track from Springhead Motor Shark.
So rad.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway.
Absolutely. Let's kick it back over to Angel. Angel, you've been more than patient, my good man, as have our beloved metal summoners. So let's bring them back involved.
So I have the fans with the so someone wearing a Britney Fox shirt. Do you wonder if they have ever heard of the band?
Okay, I'm sorry. What? I'm not clear on that. Something about a shirt.
Oh, yeah. When you see someone in a Britney Fox shirt, do you wonder if they have heard of the band?
No, because I'm thinking if they're wearing a Britney Fox shirt, they must know who the band is. Unless somebody said, here's a shirt, a hand-me-down or something, right?
Yeah, I feel
Right.
like on that one, I think a person wearing a Britney Fox shirt, if like Michael or Dean or John, if any of the guys were to see it, I feel like they would think that they're a fan because Britney Fox isn't the kind of band that you're going to see in like a Forever 21 store or like a Hot Topic. So yeah, I kind of think that they would definitely know, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would think.
Definitely.
Although about a year or two ago, there was a clip that surfaced online of an actor who played in a TV show. Give me a second. Might have been Stranger Things, I believe. And he was out walking his dog with his girlfriend, and he had a Britney Fox shirt on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but and I was like, wow, that's super cool. But I wondered, like, how would he know who Britney Fox was? He wasn't even born, probably.
Right.
So my only guess was maybe
Right.
like an older brother or his dad or mom said, "Here, I have this left over from the '80s. Here, you can wear this."
They had good taste.
I'm like, if that's what happened, I don't know for
Of
sure,
course.
but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's weird. A lot of Britney Fox stuff has popped up over the years, again, in the strangest places, really. And then with the whole resurgence of the interest in '80s bands, it really has come to the forefront. Like, you know, people have been bootlegging our shirts forever, unfortunately. But yeah, there's 1,000 versions of Britney Fox shirts out there everywhere, which is cool. I get it, but um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. But anyway, yeah, so there's that. Angel. Hey, Angel, you're named after a band, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Angel,
I
are you here? Are you hearing me? Angel, are you there?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, there's a band called Angel, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Yeah. And Angel, right?
Oh,
Yep.
hell yeah.
Kick-ass tune.
Punky Meadows.
Funky Meadows,
Oh.
Greg Jafria.
What favorite band like playing live?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What favorite band did you like playing live?
What favorite band?
Your favorite band that you saw playing live?
Oh, that I saw playing live. My favorite concert. Is that the question?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, there's been so many. When I was a kid in the 70s, I was going to concerts continuously. I mean, if there was a show in Philly or Jersey or wherever of a band I was even half interested in, I would go to check them out. I could never pick a favorite, I don't think. But I mean, I've seen everyone from Aerosmith when they were nobody playing in like a gymnasium at like Allentown or some college somewhere near Reading, Pennsylvania. I've seen Cheap Trick at a place called the Trenton War Memorial, Trenton, New Jersey. At same place I saw Talking Heads, UFO, Judas Priest. I saw Judas Priest open for UFO.
Oh, wow.
When their Hell Bent for Leather tour. Opening for UFO when UFO were supporting Lights Out. I saw Golden Earring. I've seen everybody. Heart. And the coolest thing, I guess maybe one of my favorites would have been a Heart concert where it was Allentown Ag Hall. It was Hart's first time playing in the Pennsylvania area, I believe. I think their second album just came out. It was really early on in their career, and I actually got to meet them.
Oh, wow.
Back then, there was hardly security at shows.
Yeah.
If you look like if you even had any kind of a look like you might belong walking around backstage, you could just walk back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did. And oh, hang on, my 15-year-old has 3 Britny Fox shirts. It is her favorite band from Christina.
Yes.
See that? How awesome is that, right?
Parenting goals.
Craziness, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's super awesome. Anyway, so I got I wandered backstage because I thought, yeah, the band's back there. I might be able to meet them, right? So as I'm walking around the corner, coming around the other corner was Ann Wilson. And I was like, okay, wow, awesome, right? So I got to meet Ann Wilson. I was probably 18 or 19 at the time and talked for a long time. She was super awesome. And I loved them from their first album. So then I got to meet, Nancy and the rest of the band after that. And they actually invited us to different shows and gave us backstage passes and put us on the guest list and everything. So, yeah, some of those Heart shows were way up there on my favorites because they were so awesomely cool and, treated us like myself and my friends, like not just fans, but like family. They were like, wow, you guys traveled all this way to see us or whatever. And yeah, really super awesome. So. And I was in a band 1,000 years ago that had a girl singer, and we played a whole set of Heart songs. We did like a Heart tribute set. So I was playing all that stuff way back then too. Golden Earring, saw them a couple times, got to meet them, met Cheap Trick, met Ted Nugent, met UFO, Michael Schenker, my favorite guitar player. Mm-hmm. That was super awesome.
I have one of his guitars behind me.
One of Michael Schenker's guitars?
Yeah.
No, wait. A guitar like Michael Schenker's or...
It's one of his signature models, yeah.
Hold on, 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
Awesome question. I definitely got to retire this damn headset.
Yes. Nice. Right? Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there goes the cat. That's an awesome guitar. It definitely looks awesome.
There you go, man.
Yep.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Cheers to Schenker guitars.
Heck yeah. Hey, since I'm moving around, another second.
Absolutely. Yes, Metal Summoners. Cheers to Schenker guitars.
Nice. guess it's just me on the screen. La la la. I was thinking the same thing, Matt. I was all alone for a second.
There it is. The long box.
Oh, hold on, long box.
Wow. I think that's cool.
Right?
Yes, it is.
And that's one of those cool albums too that would look like really sick signed because the colors are just good and everybody's name would look like really sharp.
I know, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
No.
Nope.
Just a molten sun.
Exactly.
Where
So
did
this
you
is right over here. This is where the cassette artwork would have been.
Oh.
And then this, of course, backwards. This would have been the long box. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's when they used to put CDs in a cardboard box to put in the record store.
Yeah, they would like sit up higher.
Yeah, because they were going into the same bins that used to hold vinyl records.
Oh yeah. Where did the idea for the font for Britney Fox come from?
I'm sorry, for what?
The font, like the style of letters.
Oh, a friend of ours who was an artist, his name is Eric Levy, came up with it.
Oh, cool.
Who ironically later became a bass player and played bass in Dean's band Black Eyed Susan.
Oh, really?
Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Hey, getting back to this real quick. Yeah, Michael Schenker. Greatest guitar player ever. But I also want to mention, we talked about Angel. Do you guys know of a band called Stars? Starz.
Yep.
Another hugely underrated band.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
so great, man. Great songs, great band. Richie Rano, great guitar player. Underrated.
Absolutely, 100%. Angel, right back to you, man. We need some Angel time.
I'm laughing at this question. What would you sing at a karaoke?
I wouldn't sing anything. I'm not a singer, but I would play. Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't sing. So I guess the question would be, well, hang on. I would do background vocals for Girl School, maybe, or
Nice.
Hold On, or any of the other gang vocals that we used to do. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That was my extent of singing. Would be the gang vocals.
Your favorite songs to play?
Oh, favorite song to play. Okay, I'm not sure if that question meant like what is my favorite Britney Fox song to play, or maybe just favorite song to play.
Yeah.
But okay, I have so many, but the two Britney Fox songs that I love playing them all, but Long Way to Love and Dream On simply for the solos.
Mhm.
You know, they're two of my favorite solos and probably the two I'm most proud of. And for that reason, I have to say those two songs as far as, you know, what I really enjoy playing in general, but mainly for the solos. Well, not mainly for the solos, but the solos in addition to them being great songs. So One example. And then Dream On. Yeah, anyway, but other songs, any UFO song, I love playing because it's Michael Schenker. Another favorite guitar player is Mick Ronson,
Nice.
Bowie's old band,
Yeah.
Spiders from Mars, period. And Mick Ronson, after he left Bowie, actually did a couple solo albums, two of which are phenomenal, and everyone should check them out. The first one's called Slaughter on 10th Avenue. Second one's called Play, Don't Worry. It is some of the greatest songwriting and arranging and guitar playing you will ever hear.
Oh, that's super cool. Hey, Michael, real quick. Chris Thomas has spoken up a couple of times during this show. Do you have the Bite Down Hard guitar available to put on screen?
It's somewhere. I could grab it.
He's mentioned a couple of times that he'd like to see it.
Wow. I will try to grab it. Yes.
No worries. All good, brother. Right back to you, Angel.
So, speaking of Chris, that's his question.
Oh, right on.
What does Fender call the color of your guitar?
This one? I guess they mean
Yep.
this one, right?
Yep.
I bought this at a place called DeLuca Music. A shout out to DeLuca. They're in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, and they it's a place I used to teach at. And I was there one day, and this guitar was there for sale. It's a Mexican standard Strat, and it's kind of all chewed up and beat up, and it's just a natural finish. But it wasn't created, it wasn't made natural. It was actually started out blue. If you look in the back there, you can see that blue color.
Oh, yeah.
So this started out blue, right? And somebody didn't like it, so they took the guitar apart and they decided to remove the blue paint on the whole guitar. They lit it on fire and they burnt the finish off.
Oh,
I guess they used a torch or something. And then they just left it bare wood and put the guitar back together. And the reason, well, that was the story I was told, but see the singe marks right there?
yeah.
Yeah, so the finish was removed with a blowtorch. Guitar was reassembled, and that's what this is. So it's simply a natural Mexican Strat. Super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how many guitars do you have?
More than 10. More than 12? A bunch. I've been collecting guitars all my life. Yeah, so a bunch of them, yeah. Yeah, I love Gibsons. I love Fenders. I love BC Rich. I have a bunch of a bunch of different guitars. Yeah, some kind of really off-brand.
What was your first?
My first guitar? Was that the question? My first guitar?
Yep.
My first real guitar was that Les Paul
Your
recording
first
model.
Guitar and your
But my-
first
But my first guitar that I learned on was like literally a $30 acoustic.
Oh,
Like I can't
Like
remember the name.
like a
Maybe it didn't
Sears
have a
guitar?
name. It was like a real super beginner guitar, which I still have. I kept it for sentimental reasons, obviously. But did my first couple months of lessons on that thing, and then graduated from that to my Les Paul recording model.
nice.
Was there another question? Angel, are you there?
and your first concert.
Oh,
Yep, your first concert.
okay. My first concert was my older brother Joe took me to see the band Chicago
Oh,
back when their guitar player Terry Kath was still alive, and it was at F&M College, Franklin and Marshall College in Lancaster or York, Pennsylvania. I believe Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And so I got to see, Terry Kath, the original guitar player. It was really awesome. That was my first like rock concert, right? But my first arena rock concert was Alice Cooper on the $1 Billion Babies tour
oh wow.
at Hershey Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And that was just mind-blowing. And the coolest thing about that story is that fast forward 20 some years later or whatever, Britny Fox opened for Alice Cooper in Europe. So my first arena concert was Alice Cooper, and then I ended up getting to the point of being in a band that went on tour with Alice Cooper. Mind-blowing for me. Anyway, you guys froze for a second, both at the same time.
Oh, we good? Oh, we good?
We're good.
Another question. I'll read this
Your
one.
favorite album cover from
There's a band from the 70s that I love called Sparks. You ever hear of them, you guys? Sparks?
I've heard their name.
Check them out. Really awesome. Like, it's really unique. Like nothing else you've ever heard. They had an album in 1974 on Island Records called Kimono My House. And it's a really intriguing album cover. You have to check it out. I love it just because it's so bizarre, but probably another reason because it's tied for first with in my all-time favorite albums. Sparks Kimono My House would be up there. Well, tied for first, favorite album cover and favorite album, tied with the first Kate Bush. There it is. There it is, man. Good job. There it is. Kimono My House, Sparks. You know what's really cool? There's no text on the album cover.
Yeah, dude, it's just the models.
Yes. That's what I mean. How cool is that, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't know, you'd have to turn it over to see that it's called Kimono My House by Sparks. You'd only know that by looking at the back of the album cover.
Wow.
That's tied with the first Kate Bush album called The Kick Inside, which had 5 or 6 different album covers. She did a different album cover for different countries.
Oh,
Again, brilliant, as you would expect from her.
yeah.
So that's tied for first again, favorite album. Well, all the versions of that album, the album covers, and the album itself, and then probably Golden Earring Moontan.
Oh, that's a good one.
From '73. Brilliant album and brilliant album cover. Anyhow, yeah.
Voice in my head that drives my gear. When firstborn, I'm shifting gears. Radar love. Right on. That was awesome.
Jay, you could have done better background vocals.
No, those vocals were just fine. No.
I didn't really think it was going to break down into a duet like that, or I really would have dialed it in. But that was awesome.
Angel, now you got to chime in, man. Pick a song.
Dingo.
Richie Blackmore, Deep
Yep.
Man. Are there more questions?
Yep, gonna go from talking about guitars to talking hair products. What products do you use?
Hair products? Pantene?
Yep, hair products do you use?
Pantene. Oh, that's from Jules again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Pantene.
Yep.
Not sure if it's working, but you know.
It's working. Looks better than mine.
Motley Crue junkie Kyle asked, "What's my favorite Kiss album?" Wow, that's a tough one, man. That's really tough. But if I really have to pick one, I'm going to have to go with the first album because I was so enamored with that whole concept of this band with these great songs and the makeup and the whole thing. I saw them on ABC in concert when they first time they were ever on TV. I went, that was on a Friday night. I went to the record store Saturday, and the album wasn't even in the stores yet. They said it'll be in on Monday. I went back there. It was called a Listening Booth record store in Berkshire Mall, Reading, Pennsylvania. I went back Monday, and I said, "Hey, do you have that album by this band called Kiss?" They said, "Yeah, we got one copy." They got one copy in. You believe that?
Oh, wow.
I bought it. I was the first guy to buy the Kiss record in Listening Booth in Berkshire Mall, 74. And so, yeah, that, you know. Then, of course, on and on. But yeah, but there's so many great Kiss albums. I even like The Elder a lot. I know that's not popular, but yeah, The Elder is awesome. Creatures of the Night, of course, Kiss Alive, Hotter Than Hell. It's hard. There's so many great Kiss albums.
It's your brother.
And then comes another question: your favorite UFO record?
Phenomenon. I love them all. Even some of the non-Schenker albums with Paul Chapman, No Place to Run, and Wild, Willing, and the Innocent. But for the Schenker albums from the 70s, Phenomenon has a special place for me because it was my first introduction to them. Again, saw them on Don Kirshner's rock concert, went and bought the Phenomenon album, learned how to play every song, and yeah, super, super awesome.
Nice.
And here's a good question. Let me just pop it up on the screen. Can you run down on the equipment you used with the original band, like the guitar amp and effects?
I've never been too big on effects. I used a Boss GE7 EQ, a Crybaby wah-wah pedal, a Boss delay here and there. Oh, way back, I used to have a thing called a Maestro Echoplex. It was super awesome. It wasn't a digital pedal. It was an analog tape echo with an actual tape cartridge in it. And I got that because I saw Leslie West used one, and Richie Rano from Stars used one. So I had to have one, and I loved that thing. The best sounding tape echo ever. And unfortunately, it was stolen along with a bunch of other stuff. So I need to replace that. Anybody has a Maestro Echoplex laying around that they don't want, let me know. But amp-wise, well, guitars, Les Pauls, and BC Riches for live. And then amps, I've always been, with Cinderella and Britny Fox, I used all Marshalls. JCM 800s, a Mark II, an older one, 100-watt head. And so JCM 800 Marshalls and older, and a couple pre-800 Marshall amps. And then before that, I used to play through an orange OR 120 orange stack.
Oh,
70s amp. And I love that thing. Unfortunately sold it. But yeah, I love orange amps as well. That's what this is. That's what I'm playing through right That's a Mick Ronson song, by the way. It's actually a Mick Ronson song on one of his albums, but it's a cover of a pure Prairie League song called Angel Number 9. Oh. Check it out, you guys. Check it
out. Question from Matt Porter. He wants to know, did you enjoy making music videos and the first time you saw yourself on MTV?
Yeah, videos were awesome to make and awesome to see once they were finished. And then to see them on MTV was even crazier. Because, you can't believe that you finally got to that point, at least we couldn't, that we had a record deal, we're, on tour, we're making videos, And then when the videos get played on MTV, because not everyone's videos got played, we were fortunate enough to have Long Way to Love, Girls School get into the top 10 countdown a bunch of times on MTV. So, yeah, it was phenomenal. It was crazy, awesome to see them on MTV, and really awesome to make them awesome. Like, just great.
Do you remember the first time you heard like a Britney Fox song on, or even a Cinderella song you were involved with, like on the radio, like driving?
Yeah, it was just talked about this recently with someone, and this was going back to Cinderella. We actually did a demo of Shake Me and Nobody's Fool, and it was released on a 45. And a radio station in Philly, might have been, it was a show called The Metal Shop, a Friday and Saturday night 1 hour midnight show. And they played Shake Me. They played both songs, but I remember hearing Shake Me on the radio from this 45 that we did, driving across the Walt Whitman Bridge going to a gig at the Galaxy, I believe. And that was mind-blowing, because it's like, wow, we're on the radio. Can you believe that? And we didn't have a record deal then. That was just a 7-inch single that we did on our own. So that was crazy. And then fast forward, the first time I heard Britney Fox on the radio, we were in LA doing the video for Long Way to Love.
Oh.
And Long Way to Love came on the radio. I mean, it had gotten airplay prior to that, but I had never heard it. And we were out there shooting the video for it. And we were driving around somewhere, and it came on the radio, and we were like, wow, there we are, man. We're on the radio.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
sick, man. So awesome, for sure. Right back to you, Angel.
Do you still go to concerts?
Not so much. The last concert I was at was UFO and Blue Oyster Cult
Oh.
at a place in called Penn's Peak.
Yeah, Jim Thorpe, PA.
Jim Thorpe, PA, yeah, up near the Poconos. It was right before COVID, and it was Blue Oyster Cult and UFO. That's the last concert I was at. Prior to that, I would go see a band called Crack the Sky that I love from the 70s. Super awesome, underrated, unknown, pretty much for the most part, unfortunately. I wanted to go see The Darkness when they first came over. I loved them. I loved the first album.
I'm a fan of them too.
What's that?
I'm a fan of them too.
Yeah, I mean, all their stuff, but that first album, man. It doesn't get better than that, man.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't go to concerts much anymore. But back in the 70s, I went to see everybody. Like I was saying earlier, Foghat, Heart, Black Sabbath, Humble Pie, Status Quo, Alice Cooper, everybody.
How many countries have you played in?
Countries?
Yep.
Well, we never played in Canada. We never played in South America at all. Did that one show in Japan, toured the States, obviously, numerous times. And we did that one European tour with Alice Cooper. I couldn't name every country we played. Germany, with the UK, of course. Italy, Scandinavian countries. I can't remember. It was kind of a blur. But yeah, whatever the Alice Cooper European tour, we got to play all the countries that covered. Ireland, I think I remember. Yeah. We never played Australia, never played. Yeah. So yeah, not as many as I would have liked. Somehow we missed the boat on touring the world, so to speak. Outside of the States, it was the Japan show and then the European tour with Alice Cooper. Other than that, we didn't get around nearly enough.
It's a fun question. If you're in a hot time machine, where are you going?
Okay, now is this music related?
Just in general related. Are you going into the future, into the past?
I'm not holding out a lot of hope for the future, unfortunately. But I'd love to go there just to see. I'd be curious. I don't think it's going to be that great. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I'd love to check it out because it's going to be interesting for sure. But if I had to go back, well, it would be cool to go back to like the beginning to see where it all started. Even back to cavemen. That would be kind of cool. See what that was all about. If you could spend a few hours here and there, whatever, then go whatever. But I would definitely go back to England, 1978, to see Kate Bush live. She did a tour over there called the Tour of Life. It was the only tour she ever really did. And it was to support her first two albums. And she played Hammersmith Odeon and a couple times, I think. And that tour went across Europe also. But I definitely I would go back in time to see, Kate Bush live in 1978 at the Hammersmith Odeon.
Nice.
Which is on YouTube. Fortunately, you can go watch it, but I would have loved to have been there. So I'd go back for that for sure.
Okay. What's your favorite song off of the Foghat Rock and Roll album?
Awesome. Ride, the opening track. I mean, I love the whole album, but yeah, the opening track is just awesome.
And Chris, I'm sorry. Go.
They want me to play Fool for the City. So awesome. But my favorite all-time Foghat song might be Step Outside off of Energized. Check that out. Yeah, Step Outside by Foghat on Energized.
Your favorite thing about, what do you like the most about being a musician?
The fact I was able to live a dream, really, when you're a kid, you learn guitar and you're in your first couple bands and you're like, wow, how cool would it be to be on tour and actually make albums? It seems like such a thing that could never happen when you're a kid, but to have all that stuff really happen was amazing. But I'd have to say, in the big picture, what I really, the most satisfying thing for me is teaching, because when I can teach somebody how to do what I can do and to enjoy being able to play their favorite music, that's the greatest. Because I remember when I first learned how to do this stuff, I couldn't believe it. And it gives you such a sense of gratification that you cannot believe. So being able to teach and do that for, other people is really satisfying. It's really awesome.
Yeah, we got a Sabbath related question. Your favorite Sabbath album, Paranoid versus Hell?
Heaven and Hell. Neither one of those are my favorite Black Sabbath album. I love them both. Dio is so freaking awesome. Originally from a band called Elf, if you're not familiar.
Yeah.
But I love both Paranoid and Heaven and Hell. I probably, for Sabbath, I might lean a little towards the Ozzy stuff, probably, because it's what I grew up with. I love the Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Sabotage albums, Volume 4, obviously. Never Say Die. The last Sabbath album with Ozzy is phenomenal. So killer. Yeah, so I might have to say Lloyd might have a slight edge over Heaven and Hell for me. But, that's so when you're talking that high level of greatness, it's hard to choose, really. We need Bill for that bass line. Bill, I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
Oh, then of course, speaking of Dio, right? It's like, come on. Oh, Rainbow in the Dark, you name it. I mean, craziness.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to say, it's been 2 hours and everyone is still tuned in, still asking questions.
Hey, I'm
Awesome.
good for another 2. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Did I meet my wife through music? Yes. I met her at the Galaxy when I was in Cinderella. Yeah, really awesome. Way back. We've been together since then, and we share all the same passion for animals and everything. So, yeah, met through music, and yeah, that is exactly what happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she went with
Charles
her
wants
sister.
to know.
I'm sorry. My wife Trish went
No, I love
went to see a band called Cinderella. They were curious, like, who calls their band Cinderella? We have to see what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's why she was there. So Glad I thought of that name to name the band that. Yeah, so that worked out really cool.
Charles wants to know when is your gig in Pennsylvania. Would love to hear you play live and shake your hand.
Hopefully, the next gig might be a Britney Fox reunion somewhere in Philly, wherever the venue might be. I'm not sure, but if we can
I
pull
would be
this thing
there.
together, I'm sure we'd want to kick it off in Philly for sure. So stay tuned.
I'd definitely be there.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
not far from Philly.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Do you have any pre or post show rituals? Anything that you do to get ready for a show?
Probably being well rested is one of the most important things for me. Yeah, I like to be alert and, awake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On tour, thinking back, that's tough because you don't sleep well on a bus. You're doing tons of press and interviews and, in-person interviews, radio stations, phone interviews, whatever. There's so much going on. It's hard to stay well rested on tour, or at least it was back then. But I remember always trying to get enough rest in order to feel up to doing your best, when it came time to play. Oh, and good food. I'm sorry, and good food. For me, a total vegetarian diet, and that seems to have helped as well. So yeah, it's part of it too. Yeah, rest and good food. Nutritious, good food. Falafel, in fact. Love falafel.
One of your students says hello, Eddie.
Foghat fan. Scorpions fan. Like, yeah, Eddie, hello, brother. Super awesome. Oh, and he loves Stars now, too. And all the old 70s stuff. He came in as a Britny Fox Cinderella fan, and now he listens to Nazareth, UFO, Slade Sweet, and 70s bands more than he does the 80s stuff. So that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, and here's a good question. What process did you go through when writing the solo to Long Way to Love?
Hey, it's D. Snyder asking that. Well, almost. Yeah, D. Back then we would come up with we'd put songs together, sometimes a bunch in a week, right? And then you'd go out on the weekend and play them live in your set just to kind of get a feel for how they're going to work live. And what I would do was I would improvise solos at first just to get a feel. Again, you're kind of just, improvising, trying to get a feel of what might end up being the best thing to put on an album. And that solo in particular started out, again, improvising in A major, actually. I'm not a real modal player, but I know the difference between major and minor scales. And so I would just kind of play around and came up with the basic outline of the solo. But when it came time to do the first demo of it, first actual recorded demo of it, I remember sitting in my apartment and I went back over all the different things I had done up to that point. And then I sat and actually constructed what became the solo that was on the demo and then on the album. So typically it's a lot of experimentation at first and improvisation. And then from there, you kind of end up with a certain end product that becomes a solo, which I would then try to play the same live from that point. You know what I mean? I'm not a big believer in like doing a solo on an album and then going out and changing it up live, because I remember as a person in the audience, I would always want to hear the solos like they were on the albums for the most part. There's always going to be minor differences and nuances, but I like hearing what's on the album. So therefore, I've always kind of tried to play close to or exactly what was on the album for those same reasons.
Oh. Any funny stories with Britney Fox on the road?
Wow. We had fun, but it was, we all took it pretty serious. So we tried to, make sure that we were just doing what we needed to do as far as keeping up with the promotion and all that stuff. But one of the funniest things might have been, and it was right out of Spinal Tap, I forget where the venue was, but we actually got lost under the bleachers trying to find the stage. It was a large arena type place. The dressing rooms were on the opposite end of the arena where the stage was. And the only way to get there were to follow signs that somebody put up, like this way to the stage, and you're like ducking under the bleachers and stuff. And we literally could not find our way to the stage. Took us like 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. So again, right out of Spinal Tap, but it really happened. And I guess that's where they got the idea for that scene in the movie, because I guess that stuff used to happen a lot, that there was no direct path to the stage from the dressing room.
And favorite Beavis and Butthead episode?
That question is from Todd, my guitar builder. We still joke to this day about Beavis and Butthead. Favorite episode? It's crazy. I mean, there's so many bits. It's hard to pick one. Probably something to do with Mr. Anderson, the neighbor guy. So maybe when he hired them to paint his trim on the house. He wanted them to paint the trim on the house and don't get a drop anywhere else. You probably remember it, right? And it ended up like effing up the whole house. They painted, Metallica on the siding and everything on the roof, whatever. So yeah, there's so many great episodes. So it's hard to pick one. Thanks, Todd.
I'm still laughing from that episode.
What inspired the song Save the
What
Week?
inspired?
Okay. Favorite Black Sabbath singer? Wow. Okay. Craziness. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Dean,
I just went.
No, that's okay. No, I got the questions, I think, maybe ahead of you. Dean wrote Save the Week, and I think he just, was aware of the starvation in other countries and that whole thing, and felt inspired to write a song about people less fortunate than we are. And that's where that idea came from. And it was awesome. And that video was awesome too. Really liked making that video, and that song always went over live really well. Also, I'm sure it'll be in the set again if and when we do our reunion, which we're hoping to be able to do.
Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would definitely be at that show in Philly.
So would I. I'll be there.
Favorite Black Sabbath singer? A tough one.
Yeah, that's kind of like saying, well, like the whole David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar thing, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's tough. I have to say Ozzy, because really Sabbath, the essence of Sabbath was Ozzy. And then Ronnie came in and was awesome. So it's like apples and oranges, really. You can compare, but it's not really fair to compare. So yeah, I'm always going to be, partial to the Sabbath albums from the 70s up through 78 with Ozzy. But, the Ronnie stuff afterwards was also just phenomenal. Hey, it's Jules again. Hey, Jules. Favorite genre of music? Rock. Definitely. If you have to just generalize it, definitely rock. Not a jazz guy, not a country guy, hip hop, none of that. But rock, and then going back, pop music, like hits that you would hear on the radio in the 60s and 70s, going way back to Motown and all that stuff. So yeah, rock, and if you want to generalize it and calling it pop music, for sure. Going back, like I said, Motown, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Three Dog Night, yeah, all that. Mamas and the Papas, yeah, all that stuff. Love it.
Wow, this next question it makes a really good trivia question, but it's a good question. What was the first song that you ever played in front of people? Oh, that's a tough one to remember.
Yeah, I remember we played a lot of. Foghat. We played Alice Cooper. We played a lot of Sabbath. We played Blue Oyster Cult. But it easily could have been a Foghat song called Honey Hush.
Nice.
Which is really almost like Train Kept a Rolling.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, that could have been the first song. I can't really remember. That would have been 50 years ago. But it could have been that song for sure.
Yeah. Wow, this question I'm definitely curious about. That's a good one. Wow.
First album. Yeah, what favorite? The question was favorite Boston album.
Yep.
For listening purposes, yeah, the first album. For something to laugh about would be Third Stage. The reason he asked that question was Britny Fox were on tour somewhere, and our road manager, Richie, came to us and said, the drummer from Boston wants to meet you guys.
Wow.
And we're like, oh, cool. So, he came on the bus, and he said his name was Jim Mazdia, who actually was the original drummer in Boston. So he came on the bus, and, at that point, he had rejoined the band, like years and years later, to record the third Boston album called Third Stage. So he would tell us all about Boston, Third Stage, Jim Mazdia, whatever. So it just became, it was a funny little, story with the fact that, he was really proud of, being the drummer in Boston on Third Stage. And he told us a story, many times over. And something that we've always laughed about ever since. And it to this day, it's become this like long-standing funny story that just keeps getting traction. Do you know what I mean? Like one of those. Yeah. So the first Boston album is phenomenal, but Third Stage is a funny story for us because of Jim Mazdia. Hey Jim, I hope you're watching.
Wow.
Wow, tough one. Favorite guitar player, Mick Ronson or Rick Derringer? I'd have to say, again, really tough. But I'd have to say, if I had to pick, I'd have to say Mick Ronson.
Nice.
But wow, that's tough. But yeah, that's a tough one. But yeah, both underrated, underappreciated guitar players, both of them, Rick Derringer and Mick Ronson.
Definitely.
Anyhow, so are we at? Here,
we just got two more questions. Do you have any songs written for Britny Fox comeback? And can we hear a little sneak peek?
Yes. I have probably, at least an album's worth of new material that is exactly in the same vein as the first two albums.
Thanks.
So I myself have an album's worth of songs ready to go if and when we get back together. And I'm sure Dean and Bill also have a ton of ideas. So between the three of us, we could probably release a double album coming back, which we wouldn't do. But I'm saying we probably would have enough material to do that. Maybe 3 albums. I don't know. But yeah, so I have a ton of ideas, and I'm sure Dean and Bill also do. And I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to do that. I mean, after all this time, it would be so awesomely cool to have a new Britny Fox album to kind of pick up right where Boys in Heat left off.
Right.
Loved Bite Down Hard, loved Springhead Motor Shark, loved everything we did with Tommy. We kind of, we had to play the hand that we were dealt at the time. So that was a different, version of the band, obviously, with a different singer. But as far as doing something new again with the 4 of us, the original lineup, and being able to, come up with new songs together, again, to pick up where we left off with Boys in Heat would just be awesome. So yeah, there's plenty of that would never be a problem for us coming up with material. The problem will be, scheduling and all that kind of stuff to see if we can actually get together and make it happen. And I'd love to play everything for you. I'd love to play the whole new album for you right now. But I can't do that because, copyright stuff and all that.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'd love to. I do give my students tidbits. I play stuff for them because I know they're not going to steal it. And I like to get their feedback. But so far, the feedback has been like really positive. Everyone's like, oh, that sounds like something from the first album, or that could have been on Boys in Heat or whatever. So, if we do something, it's definitely going to be in that vein. We're not going to drift off and try to reinvent the wheel.
And this is a tough question. Ian Gillan or David Coverdale?
Oh, it's Eddie. Wow. Yeah, that's, again, man, I'm such a Deep Purple fan that I have to go with Ian Gillan. Coverdale was awesome, though. again, you can't argue with.
In the still of the night.
All right.
Yeah, that Burn album is like freaking. Yeah, beyond essential. That Burn album. But then again, you have
Right.
Deep Purple albums that are just off the charts. Also, my favorite being "Who Do We Think We Are."
Oh, cool.
Love that album.
Yeah.
Love Ian Gillan, love Coverdale, but I'd have to say Gillan a little bit over Coverdale.
Speaking of cool album covers, that Burn had a cool album cover with the candles.
Hell yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know. We'll end on this note. You got to check
We're
out.
gonna.
Or are we going to keep going?
Oh no, it's all good. We're I think a big fan of leaving them wanting more.
Okay,
I think we got a couple more questions, right, Angel?
No, we just got one more question and one more request by the same
Yeah,
person.
no worries.
Let's
All
do
good.
it.
Let's do it.
Your Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, there's I have two actually. One is William Shatner, where him and his fiance, might have been his wife, I think fiance, are in a small town, Canton, Ohio, I believe, and they go into a little restaurant, kind of diner place, and there's a mystic seer that tells the future on the table. You got to see it. It's awesome. It's called Nick of Time, that episode. So, yeah, that's a favorite. Okay, Nick of Time, original Twilight Zone with William Shatner. Awesome. And then there's one called The Hunt, set back in the Old West, where an old guy and his dog go hunting, and they both drown. The dog and the owner drown. Really sad. I can't even watch it, to be honest, but it's such a moving story that I would recommend checking it out if you've never seen it. But the old man and the dog drown, and they end up going to heaven, so to speak. And there's a couple of roadblocks along the way. That's all I want to tell you. I don't want to give away the whole story, but yeah, check that episode out. It's one of my favorites. It's really insane. It's called The Hunt. And then the other one is called Nick of Time. Oh, hang on. Then there's The Masks.
Oh, The Masks.
The Masks. You know that one?
Yes.
Mardi Gras, The Mask.
The Mardi Gras one, yeah.
Yeah, okay, hang on. That's my favorite. Yeah, so The Masks, and then tied for second would be Nick of Time and The Hunt. There you go. So, was there another question about Train Kept a Rolling, right?
I think that was
just
the
a
request.
request. Yep, that was a request.
Oh, to play. Okay, here we go. We're going to end the show with this, right?
Let's go. Michael Kelly Smith. Michael, before we let you go, brother, please let everybody know where you can be found.
Facebook. Michael Kelly Smith at Facebook, I guess. And then also coming soon, I mean, I think that's how you would find it. Go to Facebook, Michael Kelly Smith, and also MKS, Michael Kelly Smith Guitars website coming soon. And for merchandise, Volatile Merch. Awesome company, awesome stuff. Volatile Merch, Michael Kelly Smith Guitars, and Michael Kelly Smith. And then there are the fan pages as well. The official fan page that Rob does, thanks Rob, and then also a fan page called Britny Fox Fans.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, Michael, man, 2.5 hours, and we're going to leave them wanting more. And, of course, you are more than welcome to come back anytime you like to play for us, to talk with us, and do 2 more hours with us, man. We can't wait to have you back.
My pleasure. And, yeah, I could do this all night, every night. It's really cool. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. We had a great time. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to have you. And what always matters to me and Angel, and of course Steve and Bobby as well, is that you had a good time, felt respected, and you felt that this was worth it for you.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, really. I can't thank you enough. Man, thanks. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. An absolute pleasure. We'll be in touch, Michael. Can't wait to see you in person, man, and we'll have some more fun.
Sounds good. Awesome.
Absolutely. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. These shows are for you, and they're pretty much run by you because we love your fan interaction. And Metal Summoners, Britney Fox fans, thank you guys, especially tonight, for being so involved with Michael. That was awesome. Angel and I have done a lot of shows, and we loved this kind of fan interaction. It was absolutely fantastic. But we will see you guys very, very soon. We will see you guys next week. Guest announcement for next week's episode will be over this weekend. So make sure that you're following us on our social media pages to see who we've got lined up for you. It's going to be another good one. Make sure you're checking out Angel Alamo on his social media pages for both Facebook and Instagram. You can catch me at Justin R&R Junkie on Instagram, as well as my Facebook page as well. And, of course, The Real Psycho Steve and Bobby Dreyer at BobbyDreyer.com. And on behalf of Michael Kelly Smith, we can't thank him enough again for spending a huge chunk of his evening with us. And Metal Summoners, we love you guys. We'll see you. Have a great weekend. Be good to each other. And as always, you've been watching The Metal